fighting for the whip. They're going to fight.
Did you know that in some African cultures, before you can get married, you may have to endure pains, humiliation, or even dangerous ritual? In one African tribe, a groom must survive brutal whipping before he can prove he is worthy of marriage. In another, the bride is locked away for months, fed endlessly until she gains enough weight to be seen as beautiful and ready for marriage. And in one of the most shocking African wedding traditions, elders spit directly on the bride's face as a blessing. Sound unbelievable, but these are not myths. These are real African wedding traditions, an ancient African custom, and powerful tribal wedding rituals that have existed for centuries. Across Africa, marriage has never been just about romance. It is about family, it is about honor, it is about wealth, it is about tradition, and most importantly, it is about survival. For thousands of years, traditional African weddings have shaped community, preserved identity, and passed down sacred customs from one generation to another. Some of these traditions are beautiful, some are deeply symbolic, and some are so shocking they leave the world speechless. Today, we explore 7 African wedding traditions that still exist till today. From the mysterious Efik fattening room in Nigeria, to the painful bull jumping ceremony in Ethiopia, and to the strange Maasai wedding blessing in Kenya and Tanzania. These are some of the most unbelievable marriage customs in Africa. Before we go deeper, if you love eating African history, ancient tradition, and untold stories about Africa in general, please hit the subscribe button. Subscribe now, because here we uncover the truth that shaped the continent. Now let's step into one of the most unusual marriage traditions in Nigeria, called the fattening room. Imagine preparing for marriage by doing absolutely nothing. No choice, no work, no stress, no responsibility, just eating, sleeping, and gaining weight every single day for months. Among the Efik people of southern Nigeria, there exists one of the most famous African marriage traditions known as the fattening room. This ancient Nigerian wedding custom has existed for generations. Before a young woman gets married, she is taken into seclusion, completely hidden from society, sometimes for weeks, sometimes for months. Her only mission: to eat, rest, and become bigger. Why? Because in traditional Efik culture, body size represented beauty, but not just beauty, it represented wealth, fertility, health, and status. A fuller bride meant her future husband was rich enough to provide for her. It shows that she will never suffer hunger, and in many African cultures, that was one of the greatest signs of a successful marriage. But the fattening room was not just about gaining weight, it was also a sacred school, a place where older women trained the bride for married life. Inside the room, she learned how to cook traditional meals, how to respect her husband, how to care for children, how to manage the household, how to preserve family honor. It was a complete transformation from girlhood to womanhood. To outsiders, this may seem strange, even unhealthy, but for the Efik people, it was one of the most respected traditional African wedding rituals. Even today, part of this custom still survives in modern Nigeria, though many families now adapt it to fit modern lifestyle. But this is only the beginning, because the next African wedding tradition will shock you even the more. Wodaabe Festival, Niger Republic. In many parts of the world, wedding follows a familiar pattern. The man proposes, the woman prepares, and the ceremony begins. But deep in the Sahel region of West Africa, among the nomadic Wodaabe people of Niger, everything changes. Because here, it is not the women who dress to impress, it is the men. And every year, under the burning desert sun, one of Africa's most fascinating marriage traditions unfolds: a festival of beauty, charm, competition, and courtship. This is the Jerewo Festival, and in this tradition, love is won with makeup, dancing, and the power of attraction. Imagine this: hundreds of men gathering in colorful robes, their faces carefully painted, red clay, white pattern, black lines, yellow pigments. Every detail matters. Every color has meaning, because for Wodaabe, beauty is not just admired, it is judged.
and judged seriously. The Wodaabe are a nomadic ethnic group found mainly in Niger with communities across Chad, Nigeria and Cameroon. They are part of the larger Fulani people, known for their deep tradition, cattle herding and unique way of life. But perhaps nothing defines their culture more than Gerewo, a yearly courtship festival unlike anything else in the world. This is where young men compete, not with weapons, not with money, but with beauty and the goal to attract women, sometimes for marriage, sometimes for romance, and sometimes to steal someone else's wife. Yes, at Gerewo, married women can choose new partner, and beauty can change everything. For days before the festival begins, the men prepare. Hours are spent applying makeup by hand, red ochre to brighten the face, white clay to highlight the nose and cheeks, black around the eyes, all designed to enhance the features the Wodaabe consider most attractive. Tall height, symmetry, white teeth and large, bright eyes. That is why during the dance, the men exaggerate their expressions. They roll their eyes wide, stretch their mouth and flash their teeth over and over to appear more beautiful. To us it may look strange, but here this is the art of attraction. Then the dance begins. Long lines of men stand shoulder to shoulder, moving rhythmically, swaying, chanting, stamping together in perfect harmony for hours, sometimes all night. The desert becomes a stage, and every movement tells a story of desire, patience and competition. But the real power lies with the women. They watch, they observe, they judge quietly, carefully, and when the moment comes, they choose not their father, not village elders, not tradition. The women, this is what makes Gerewo so powerful. In many ancient societies, women had little say in marriage, but among the Wodaabe, female choice has always mattered, and beauty. It belonged to men just as much as women. Anthropologists have called Gerewo one of the world's most unique examples of female-driven courtship, a place where attraction is reserved, where men become spectacle, and women hold the final decision. But Gerewo is more than romance. It is identity, it is culture, it is survival. For a nomadic people constantly moving across harsh land, festivals like this keep community bond alive. They preserve tradition, pass down stories, and remind the younger generation who they are. Yet today, modern life is changing. Everything. Cities are growing, education is spreading, and younger Wodaabe are increasingly exposed to outside influence. Some traditions are fading, but Gerewo remain a powerful symbol of beauty, freedom and choice. A reminder that marriage traditions across Africa are far more diverse than many imagine. Because in this corner of Niger, the man must prove he is worth choosing, not with wealth, not with power, but with presence, with beauty, and with dance. And perhaps the most fascinating part of all is that in the end, the woman decides, and that changed everything. This is Africa, a continent where tradition takes many forms, some beautiful, some strange, and some so extraordinary. They challenge everything we think we know about love.
Splitting blessing. This is one of the strange wedding traditions in Kenya and Tanzania. What if your father spat on you during your wedding ceremony? Will you feel insulted, embarrassed, disrespected? For most people around the world, probably yes. But among the Maasai people of Kenya and Tanzania, that spit is one of the greatest blessings you can receive. This is one of the most unusual African tribal wedding traditions. Before a Maasai bride leaves her family to join her husband, her father spit on her forehead, sometimes on her chest, sometimes on her head. To outsider it looks shocking, even disgusting. But in Maasai culture, saliva is sacred. It symbolizes life, protection, prosperity, and good fortune. The Maasai believes saliva carries spiritual power. It transfers blessings. It protects against evil, and it ensures fertility. This tradition is not only used in wedding. When a baby is born, elders spit on the child, warriors spit into their hands before shaking hands. It is a sign of trust, a sign of life, a sign of connection. Marrying among the Maasai is much bigger than love.
It is a union between families, between clans, between generations, and often cows are exchanged as part of the bride price. In Maasai culture, cows are wealth. The more cow a man owns, the more respected he is, and the more likely he can marry. Imagine standing at your wedding, wearing beautiful beads surrounded by families, and your father spit on your face. To the Maasai, that is love, that is blessing, that is tradition. If you are fascinated by these forgotten traditions and want to discover the real history, culture, and mystery of Africa, subscribe to Africa, the World Stronghold, and join us as we uncover the untold stories that shape a continent. Because this is only the beginning. In the second part of this documentary, we are traveling to another African community where beauty comes at a painful price, where one wedding tradition has sought visitors from around the world, and where the ceremony begins with a ritual many people can hardly believe. You won't see it coming. Until then, stay curious and remember, the more we understand each other's cultures, the better we understand humanity itself.
To fit larger clay plates. Wow, that's crazy. So how old are they when they start?